Welcome to the fourth day of the Simplify Your Life Challenge 2.0, a decluttering challenge to create new energy for the new year, or for whatever season of your life you're going into right now, depending on when you're watching this. Clearing out your space, decluttering, doing a bit of reorganizing signifies change. It signifies a fresh start. And that is what this challenge is all about. The side effects of that might be falling in love with your space, falling in love with your personal style, cultivating a personal style, getting more intentional with how you spend your money. I did a similar challenge on this channel about 5 years ago now, and some of the comments that I got were like this and this and this. People experience serious change just from decluttering their home. There's just something a little magical about it. So far, we've decluttered our wardrobe, our makeup and products, and our decor, and today we are looking at our fridge, our freezer, and our pantry. If you haven't already watched the other challenge videos, please do. There is a playlist that's going to be linked down below so you can catch up on all of the challenge videos that have already gone up. Now, for your fridge, your freezer, and your pantry, you're going to kick off the way we kick off every one of these videos, which is deciding on your guiding questions. So pick 1 to 3 guiding questions. There'll be a few example questions in front of me. You can use those, or you can pick your own. These guiding questions are all pretty practical, like has this expired, because it's not like we're decluttering clothes here, it's food. So the first step before you start is cleaning the kitchen, which seems counterintuitive, but if you're gonna declutter all of these spaces in your home, in your kitchen, it's gonna get overwhelming, and you wanna start with kind of a blank slate. So I went ahead and I cleared off the bench completely, made sure there were no dishes on the sink. I also cleared off the floor. I had all of my decor items in a big plastic bag that are going to be sold at a car boot sale. So I just put that in my car. Then I also had a bunch of bags that my sister gave to me because there were spare bags that she had that she didn't need. Making sure the floor was clear to kick off my declutter of the freezer, the fridge, and the pantry. The next step is to get everything out of your pantry, your fridge, your freezer. I'd recommend laying some plastic bags down, or if you have a tarp or even a blanket, that way you're not putting your food directly onto the floor. So this is our pantry. It's small, but it actually fits quite a lot. This is something I've realized I just need to go through on like a quarterly basis. I don't always get to it. Up the top, you've kind of got all of the flours and sugars, everything like that. Here you've got things like nooch, salt and sugar, peanuts, pastas and grains. This area is always atrocious. It's just the snack area. Medicines and oils and bits and pieces. I also have this area which I would consider as part of the pantry. This has like the daily supplements that we take, coffees, porridge. This is the freezer, just stacked full of stuff. This probably gets the least attention in terms of decluttering. And then there is the fridge, which is just a hodgepodge of stuff right now. I feel like everything's all over the place. We're not utilizing these very well, but when we do use them, they are really helpful. I actually did all of my spaces separately. So I started with the pantry, and I also emptied the open pantry that sits above the kitchen bench. I took everything out of the fridge except for some things that just wouldn't survive that well living outside of it, even for a short period of time. Everything is now all over the floor. All the food is on plastic bags on the floor, and we've got a really empty fridge that I'm going to clean out. The next step is to clean out these spaces. Your kitchen is where cleaning you have to take seriously. So I did this step before I did any decluttering. It doesn't really matter what order you do things in. I wiped down all of the shelves in the pantry, which felt so good to get them clean and clear. I cleaned off the open pantry space above the bench, and I did a proper deep clean of the fridge shelves because they are removable. This took a little bit longer, but it was well worth it. The fridge is now really clean, except for these, which still need to be washed. Now that you have cleaned, you want to start going through all of these items and asking your guiding questions. Decluttering the things that don't meet your standards. So I put things back as I decluttered just because it felt a lot easier. We didn't have that much space to work with. And with food stuff, you also don't want it out of the fridge or the freezer for too long. So keep that in mind. So while I am decluttering the pantry, next year in January, I actually want to do a no spend month because I feel like I have a lot of food here that I'm not eating. I also feel like I just want to do a big reset on my spendings. That is the vibe that I want for my new year. And because of that, a lot of this stuff, if it's canned or whatever, can be used in my no spend month. You can spend in a no spend month on groceries to make your food, but the idea is to just eat as much as I already have and spend as little as possible on bringing new food in. So basically I'm shopping from my pantry. So because of that, I don't think I'll get rid of too much, but regardless, it'll be nice to just go through, get rid of anything expired, clean things out. I've realized that for aesthetic reasons, these are great. They stack on top of each other and I have a bunch of them. but for practical reasons, they just make life so much harder. I've written the best before on the front, which is great, and that means these obviously need to be thrown out. But now I need to get rid of this. I need to put on a new best before sticker depending on what I put in the actual container. The idea of having a really beautiful, organized pantry, of course, it appeals to me. But I'm just realizing that it probably makes more sense to have like a less beautiful, more functional pantry. I've really done a 180. Also because we have such a small space, and this only has like a little bit full, but it takes up so much room in the pantry. These do make things more organized. They make things look so much nicer and so much easier to get to things, but I don't really use them very much, as you can kind of see by all of the labels on them. I was strongly on the porridge bandwagon. I'll go for like a year eating porridge. Like I've definitely gone for a year or two just eating porridge every single morning, and then I'll just wake up one morning and be like, porridge is disgusting. Like I can't stand the sight of it, can't stand the smell of it. I do not want to eat it. That happened a while ago with porridge, but I went back to it because I was like, hopefully like I can get another good like 2-year stretch out of it. It's not disgusting me. And now I'm like, no, I'm back where I was, which is so sad because I love having, there's only one meal that I can have the same every day, and that is breakfast. I really like keeping breakfast consistent because it makes it easy. It's the first thing you do in the morning. There's no decisions involved. However, we're gonna have to let this porridge go. So I'm going to ask my sister if she would like my porridge. I'll ask my friends because it's good porridge. Another pretty but not functional change that I made to my kitchen a while ago, and you guys would have seen me make this, is putting my oils in these bottles. Once again, I love the concept, but in practice, pouring your oils from one bottle to another when it's got like a really small entryway as well, does it happen? No. And these bottles just feel like fancy wastes of space. So they're going to be donated alongside my little containers. Here's what we are. So that's all of the stuff so far that I'm discarding. I think that most of it is really just expired. We've got medications, we've got all of our oils. It's looking so much nicer down on this particular shelf. And this one as well. So this is the snack shelf. Over here there's like instant meals. So noodles, vegan mac and cheese, like spaghetti-o things, muesli bars, seaweed snacks, that kind of thing. Then we've got our lovely cans shelf. Up here is all sweet stuff, like for cupcake making. Not that that happens often, but when it does, it's nice to have it there. I'm not really sure what's happening here. And we've still got all of this to go. I filled in the rest of the pantry, so I did decide to get rid of most of these, except for things that just don't really have an expiry date. Look, sesame seeds might have an expiry date. I don't feel like they do. Otherwise, I'm keeping it all in packets. No, it doesn't look as pretty, but because we do have so little space, it just didn't make sense to have like 6 big containers that are only that full. This is probably the most vague shelf, so you've just got sweet stuff for cooking over that way, like cocoa and sugary bits and pieces. This is stuff that I kind of sprinkle into meals, like nuts, seeds. These are just some pasta bits that didn't fit over here. They will be able to fit once I go through my 1 month no spend challenge. We've got some seasoning and stuff over here, so it's mixed. There's some nooch. This one is a very clear shelf. Everything is just grains pasta. And up here, same. It's all just flour, bicarb soda, icing mixture, that kind of thing. This is the after of our little open cabinets. So those are all of like medicines, pills, that kind of stuff. This is my little like coffee, hot chocolate, Lazy Susan. This is Luke's nostalgic cereal. He got this from the shops the other day. So over here has been reimagined, but I have stacked these on top of each other because I needed more room. These are going to get donated or sold, and we've just got ugly bottles of oil. So when I'm organizing the food in the fridge, I saw a TikTok and it was organizing your fridge ADHD friendly version, and I was like, this is honestly friendly for everyone and I'm going to try it. So with this, they didn't use the little fresh food thing at the bottom of the fridge. They actually used the door to store fresh food. They put sauces and condiments in the fresh food bin. Obviously that meant that the fresh food doesn't stay as fresh for as long, but what they were talking about is they didn't really use their fresh food anyways because it was hidden in the fresh food drawer. I feel like a lot of people have that same problem, and I like the idea of experimenting with fresh food just in the door in a really easy, accessible place. So that's what I'm gonna do as I reorganize my fridge. The fridge looks like this now. I haven't done my weekly grocery shop, but we've got fresh food in the side. See how this works. I'll keep you updated. I wish we could get a replacement for this one. There's really barely anything in here. I think that the real test will be when I do my weekly shop and I actually fill the fridge with stuff. We'll see how it goes having the fresh stuff in the side, because you can see there wasn't very much space. But maybe even having the fresh food in the main fridge will make it a bit more likely to be used. We'll find out. It doesn't look like super cleared out or anything like that, but it does look more organized and things are more accessible. You've got like the open and smaller packets in the side. All of the ice packs are up here. It doesn't look like super cleared out or anything like that, but it does look more organized and things are more accessible. You've got like the open and smaller packets in the side. All of the ice packs are up here. All the frozen veggies in a row, as well as the frozen meals. Everything's just a bit more put together and accessible in here. Don't forget, as you're decluttering, to take breaks. I found this day, for whatever reason, so exhausting, much more exhausting than the other decluttering days. It was also really hot. We had the under boob sweat going on. It was a whole situation. So I took a ton of breaks, laying on the bed, laying on the floor. I did some stretching, because hunching over and decluttering can get to your back. You don't want decluttering to be too exhausting, because otherwise you won't want to keep on doing it. So make sure that you're not like treating yourself like a workhorse. You are a human being. I want to add in a quick note in the middle of this video. If I were to do this again, I wouldn't do it all in one day. So I would actually have one day for fridge and freezer and one day for pantry. It took me a good half day to declutter this. And I was exhausted, and I only have a really small pantry and I don't have a particularly big fridge. So if you are someone who has a family, I would separate it, do fridge and freezer one day and do the pantry the next day. Getting behind in the challenge really does not matter. These videos will be up forever. Follow at your own pace. The next step is to discard anything that you don't want. If you do have food things that you're like, well, I wouldn't eat it, but someone else might like it, bring it to your friends, ask them if they want it, share your food around. I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to decluttering, I always feel pretty wasteful. So the more that I can give to people that are open to receiving, the happier I am. Keep in mind, you don't want to be like pawning things off onto people who don't want it. Actually make sure, yeah, like they'll eat this or they want this. We're not just throwing things at people. We're on day 4 of the challenge, and I'm not gonna lie, that was definitely by far the most exhausting day. I'm so tired. I think it's because of all the deep cleaning that I did like alongside the decluttering. The decluttering itself wasn't that hard, but it was like cleaning out the fridge and everything. I don't know, man. I don't know. In saying that, every single day I'm feeling lighter. Not a coincidence. I'm also just feeling really happy for future me, just because I think this whole process is really like a favor to your future self, right? Like you're doing all of these things in kindness towards future you, and I'm like, oh, future me is going to appreciate like that clean fridge so much. Future me is going to love the fact that I like said no to the fancy but not functional stuff and just went with what works. Future me is going to be so happy about that pantry, especially when I do no spend January. Future me is just going to appreciate past me so much, and it just feels like, you know, it's all a nice act of self-kindness. You finished day 4 of the challenge, and I am so bloody proud of you. Watch all the other challenge videos in the playlist on the screen to get you inspired, to get you in the mindset to reset for the new year. I appreciate you so very much, and I will see you soon.